Hey, this is Kelly from the Dolly Rocks.
This is Joe Queer from the Infamous Queers.
Hey, Sleepy P. Martini.
Hey, this is Indica Flowers.
And you are listening to
Our Brains Hurt.
Our Brains Hurt.
Our Brains Hurt.
Losers.
Well, they needed a jingle for their stupid little show, so they called up the Jasons and we said, fuck no. Then they called us again and they gave us $20 and we wrote them a song that said, your podcast sucks. Then they gave us more money and they asked us really nice and we finally gave in and we said, all right, I'll write you a song, but it's gonna be a clone of a Screeching Weasel song that we heard a while ago. So we wrote them a jingle and it sounded really rad. It was the best little jingle that the podcast ever had, but the file got corrupted and the email didn't work. Now they're stuck without a jingle singing our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. In a very non-copyright infringing sort of way.
You ever heard of this?
Oh yeah, the fucking KBS dude, Founders.
It's delicious.
It sucks that Founders is so expensive.
Yeah, this was $19.
I know
for a four pack.
Four pack,
A
yeah.
4-pack,
dude. Their 4-pack of one of their breakfast stouts. I can't remember which one it is. I want to say it's like the Bourbon Barrel something or other breakfast stout. It's a Bourbon Barrel coffee something chocolate maybe.
This is Bourbon Barrel coffee chocolate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, 12% alcohol. Let me read you this description because it sounds sexy. Ready? The beer that taught us patience truly is a virtue. This big, bold imperial stout is brewed with a premium chocolate and coffee, then aged in bourbon barrels that introduce powerful notes of vanilla, cocoa, and charred oak.
Super good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you get it for cheaper because the 4-packs down here at Total Wine are $24.
Oh, yeah, this was 19 something.
Yeah.
So, still expensive, but I mean, I'm kind of I'm starting to really like stouts.
They're so good, especially ones that have coffee in them. Coffee is a
Yes.
game changer for stouts. You put if you can ever find like an oatmeal coffee stout or a Java or like oatmeal Java stout.
Yeah, I had the Founders breakfast stout the other a couple weeks ago. Remember?
Yeah,
and it was like the oatmeal. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, I wish. My favorite stout of all time was what's the brewery? Bell's Brewery.
Bell's?
Yeah, and it was called Arabacadabra.
Interesting.
And it was a coffee milk stout. And dude, it was like Bell's is another brewery. Like if you see something Bell's, it's gonna be good.
Where are they from?
Georgia, I think.
Bell's Brewery. Okay.
Could be wrong. I feel like I remember seeing GA on the box. I don't know. I could be so wrong. Yeah, I don't know, but anything Bell's. If you see it, if it's because they make a really wide variety of beers.
Mm-hmm.
If you see something that piques your interest by them, buy it because you will like it. Yeah.
Cool.
What's up, Chad?
What's up, man? How are you?
What's going down?
Excellent.
Gangsta shit.
Hell yeah.
Talking about beers.
Yeah, nice. It would be cool if people could actually see this because I'm actually wearing a black velvet robe.
It's funny you say that because I'm going to start up our Patreon again, and the Patreon is going to be the unedited video version.
Well, I hope they see this.
I could start with this episode if you don't mind, Chad.
That's cool. Should I take the shirt off underneath too?
I just
take it all off, baby.
Just show some nipple before the end of the show.
I'll make sure that happens.
This way I could charge $10 instead of $5.
People will give you money to not show it. This is kind of the way that'll go.
You guys ever watch that show, Very Scary People, on HLN?
I have not.
HLN?
Well, Headline News. But it's called HLN now because it's 2024 and it's nifty.
Everybody's got to have acronyms, not just the government anymore.
I'm obsessed with true crime.
I thought that was like Home Life Network or something. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know what that was. I see it all the time. But like I'm the same thing. I listen to true crime like nonstop. So if they have good stuff, I'm gonna watch it.
Are you a true crime podcast listener?
Yeah, I listen to all kinds of weird shit. Usually at night, like when I'm falling asleep. I guess that's kind of creepy. But I like to find like I like to find like the most horrific ones I can ever find. And I don't even like discriminate on like which ones I listen to. I just kind of scroll through. And now like my YouTube history, it just finds shit for me. And it's like the worst of the worst of the worst. So I don't know what it says about me as a person that like when I turn my YouTube on, it's like these like stories about grisly murders and horrific unsolved crimes.
Who's the most intriguing serial killer? Like if there was a show or a podcast about a specific, which one would you stop and listen to?
I mean, I
All
think
the
that like the way Netflix has done all those like the tapes of all the different ones,
Yeah.
I think that like the Ted Bundy one was really, really crazy just because I didn't know all that wild stuff about him like escaping and doing all the stuff that he did. But in all reality, like the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff happened in our lifetime.
Yeah. Yes.
And I mean, it is like, it's just unfathomable what that guy did and what he got away with for so long. And
Yeah, like literally drilling holes in people's skulls and shit. Like,
yeah, it's insane.
crazy.
I mean, literally, it's insane. I mean, just
yeah,
the stuff that he
Dropping-
was doing and
yeah.
the stuff that like when Netflix did that series and everybody was saying it was making him uncomfortable. Like when you listen to like the tapes or one of his neighbors actually had done like interviews back in like the late 90s, I think it was. They watered it down big time to how like grotesque that whole situation actually was. You know, so it's I don't know, it's nutty, but I'm usually like watching it's cults and true crime, but like the cults are the ones that I watch like
hell yeah.
The majority of the stuff on. Like I almost consider myself like a cult expert at this point because I've heard about every single one of them.
Oh,
We gotta get you on with Oz.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, like fucking 10 minutes before we got on here, I just texted with Oz because he's watching some shit right now on martial arts cults.
Oh,
and he was like, "This
legit,
shit is
too.
wild." Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, and I was like, "Should we do an episode on martial arts cults?" So I think we should, and have you on for that as well.
Hey, I'd be all in. There's one that's really interesting. I've been starting to like watch stuff about and read about. Have you guys ever heard of Yellow Deli?
No.
No.
Deli is spelled like New Delhi or deli like the sandwich shop?
Like sandwich shop. It actually is
Really?
a sandwich shop.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like they have like a bunch of different locations and they're run by a cult where they have tons of kids that they just keep having children and having the children go and like garden and farm for them.
Oh,
and
it's a slave cult.
Yeah, and the people who work in the yellow delis are all part of the cults, but it's crazy because they're in like 12 countries now or something like that.
Are they in the US?
Yeah, there's multiple in the US. I can't remember what state. I just started watching something the other day about it. Like one of those like internet sleuth kids, he like infiltrated them and he's got like, I don't know, like a 12-part series about him like
I'm into this.
Joining the cult basically and trying to get a job at this deli. But it's legit. It's insane. They do like suicide dances, like and they do it at work.
Where can I watch this?
I found it on YouTube. I'll send you a link. I'm telling you, my YouTube history is just like the most fucked up mess of shit at this point.
Mine's weird too, man.
Yeah, it's funny because my wife and I are both really into true crime, and we both tell each other like, if one of us dies, the other one is definitely going to jail because of our internet, like internet history.
Yeah, so I feel like with mine, if somebody ever looks up my internet history, this is why like I could probably end up one day if I had like the best platform in the world. I could never run for public office because somebody would look at my history and be like,
"Oh yeah,
what
yeah,
fuck?
I'd be fucked." Yeah,
it's like that guy who murdered his wife and probably would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for his fucking history where it was like
so
how long does it take for a body to decompose? Like what?
Yeah,
like what's the best way to grind up
stupid,
bone? Like
So at this deli, do the kids grow the vegetables that go on the sandwich?
That's what I'm gathering from it. It looks like
that's
like
rad. I want some fucking slave kid veggies. Like,
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I want. That you know that shit probably tastes good. You can taste the tears of the children.
You can have my stomach, but you can't have my body.
They all live in like some weird commune. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna that's probably like my agenda tonight when we're done with this is I'm just gonna lay around and probably watch that.
Is there one in Maryland by any chance?
No.
Okay.
I think I want to say there's one in New York. It's somewhere on the eastern US there's one, but I know there's one on the West Coast too.
New York would make sense. I wonder if there's one in DC.
Probably.
An
There's
underground
probably
one.
multiple in DC.
An underground.
It's in the ping pong. It's in the Comet ping pong.
Who was it? Who was it that we had on? Oh no, I guess it wasn't had on. I think it was Kelly from the
It was
Dolly
Kelly
Rods.
Ogden, yeah, from Dolly Rods.
Playing there.
Yeah.
She was like, "Is that the place with the?"
Yeah, she didn't know. And
Famous
she's like, "Oh my god, I
we
was
were like,
there."
yeah, that's the place.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so sad what happened there too, though. Like, I know a guy that has worked there and like was not there when that happened, but he did work there.
Mhm.
And it's like, as a restaurant industry person, when you hear about that stuff and like how like these wild ass conspiracies, like I can't imagine being the person that actually believes that kind of shit, to that level.
Yeah.
And especially when all of a sudden you've got like what do you do if you're just like a bartender and some dude kicks your door down with some sort of machine gun trying to save children that don't actually exist? You know what I mean? Like, how do you handle that? Because like,
You make
at that point, the customer is clearly fucking wrong at that point. You know what I mean? So like, what do you do? Like, do you get the manager? Like what do you do?
I bet I'd be willing to bet that they have been doing better business wise since that happened.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
because that's kind of it's become like
all press is good press.
Yeah, it's either like you either believe that shit and want to go there, or you think it's hilarious and want to go there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
and they do some rad shows there sometimes too.
Yeah, I've never been, man. I gotta make it out there once.
Yeah, maybe we should all do that one day.
Yeah.
I did Curse Words plays there like a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I've seen that they played there. I know that they've done like every once in a blue moon I'll see like somebody relatively big playing there. Like the Cro-Mags I think played there over the summer. It's like, but it's usually a bunch of local stuff, which is cool. Like I'm always happy to go check out local stuff, especially I'm not horribly far from DC, and when they do cool stuff, especially with my friends' bands, I always want to go check it out. I've just never happened to had the opportunity to go there.
Somebody told me that their sound system is like really fucking rocking now. Like back in the day, it wasn't like the greatest sound system, but it was fun to play there. But now they actually have like a fucking like a rocking sound system, and it's fucking really rad.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, or this is just something from like us, playing at shitty places most of the time, and maybe something that's changed a little bit. But like, I don't know if like COVID changed it to where it seems like everywhere has a kick-ass sound system now. And like we just played those shows with American Television, and we were like up in New York. We played New York, we played Philly, and then we went and played York. All three of those places were like top notch. And the craziest thing is our Philly show got canceled at like the day of. Like we were driving there from the cheesesteak place, and it got canceled and it got moved to a brewery. And then somebody showed up at the brewery with a badass sound system. Nice. So it's like everything now has a sick ass sound system. I don't know if it's like accessibility or just places have realized people want that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's not that they realize that people wanted that. I think that it helps their business. I think people don't turn out to shows as much at places with shitty sound systems anymore.
I agree.
Because in North America, I shouldn't say North America, in the US, it's way harder to get people to come to shows in the US than it is in pretty much in any other country at this point. Like Europe and Canada kill it, but people
South America too. They're crazy down there. Yeah.
People just don't go to live music anymore in the US. It's weird.
I feel like they do more now than they did 5 years ago, though.
I think COVID. I think the silver lining with COVID was that people realized how fragile everything is, and that they better enjoy shit while they have shit.
Well, yeah, there's that, and also bands put out awesome shit over the past couple of years.
Yeah, for real.
Other bands that that had stopped playing or stopped touring or whatever, they're everywhere now. And I think that all the venues, it used to be, I remember pre-COVID, like you could be 6 weeks in advance and you could find a place to play.
Yeah.
And now, over our eyes, we're booking like 6 months out to try to get,
Yeah.
decent stuff and at decent venues and to make sure that things are planned accordingly. And it seems like every show that we played in like 2023, we had like a killer turnout. There's, people are stoked to be seeing live music, which makes me super happy. And also right now, I felt for a long time that Baltimore was like, it's always had a bunch of great bands, and it was kind of like, it was almost like it was slowly fading away with it. And now, dude, it's fucking amazing right now.
Really?
Like Baltimore, DC, all of PA, like there's so many badass bands. And it's just like, even like so-and-so will hit you up and be like, hey, I got this new band. We're playing on this day. And you go to the show and you're like, mind's blown that there's like 5 bands that you hadn't heard of yet. And they kick ass and there's actually people there.
Yeah.
And I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
There's nothing better. There's nothing better than that. It's
For sure.
Yeah.
So maybe COVID did do something really good for us.
Yeah. I think it put a lot of bands into practice in the studio instead of playing shows. So bands got better, and it made people realize this shit is, I can't take this for granted. Like I want to see live music, and
Music is definitely really good right now. There have been so many great fucking records put out in the past couple years. Like I think more so than some of the years before COVID. People had a lot of time to write, or musicians, I should say, had a lot of time to write. Artists had a lot of time to art.
And also a lot of people that are just listeners and fans of cool independent music had a lot of time to discover.
Yeah.
And that I think is kind of overlooked too, because like, I know I personally discovered a ton of cool ass bands, and now, I find myself going to shows more. And then, I have an 11-year-old, and he's like super into finding music, and now he's even finding shit that I haven't heard before that I like.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool because, I think that it drove some people into different things that are different from their normal day to day. And, they got to find some new stuff. And then now all the bands that were found by all of these just random people, they get to benefit from it, which is a beautiful thing in all respects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. There's so much talent that isn't like, mainstream or popular. So much talent.
And 2024 will now be known as the year RKL got back together.
Oh my God.
I saw.
Yeah. So I'll die happy. Yeah.
They booked their first show. They're playing punk rock bowling.
You were the first person I thought of when I saw that they were doing a reunion or whatever. I saw like a thing on Facebook, and I was like, oh man, I'm about to forward this to Ron. I kid you not. I went to your profile to forward that to you, and you had already shared it.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so stoked. Man, I've reached out to the new singer, Tony Foresta. I sent him an email telling him that we want him on the podcast to talk about RKL. He didn't respond to the email, but he did follow us back on Instagram. So I'm going to work on it.
Yeah.
So do you want to just like start a petition and get shit tons of people to message him to come on? Because I think it'd be killer.
Yeah.
I'll send him a DM tonight. He's going to ignore that too, but I'll send it to him.
Yeah, he's a great fit, man. I'm stoked. I hope they come out east.
Yeah, for sure.
They're gonna.
They have to, right?
He's from Richmond and he lives in Florida.
That's right. Yeah.
They're coming to the East Coast. Dude has Municipal Waste has mad fans. Like they're a Richmond band. Yeah. They're coming to the East Coast.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope.
Yeah. They're gonna play in Richmond and it's gonna be fucking insane. That's what it's gonna be.
Fuck yeah.
I will make the trip south for that for sure.
Fuck yeah. Same. If I'm going to fucking Norfolk to see Strung Out, I'm definitely going to fucking Richmond to see RKL.
When is that?
Yeah, buddy.
March 18th.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we played with those guys, and like I think that was either like our first show post COVID. I think we played with them at the Auto Bar.
You played with Strung Out at the Auto Bar?
Strung Out and the Casualties, which is kind of an odd lineup, but it was cool. It was a fun show. And I actually I remember before that show, Strung Out had like, I think they had done like a contest from their fan club where like, if you won or you entered or you paid for some meet and greet thing, the way they did it is they would go up and you got to pick a song during sound check and then play whatever instrument you wanted. So like there was like people coming in, I think they did like 4 or 5 songs, but what really, really sucked is that the doors had to get delayed because they got stuck in DC traffic. trying to get to Baltimore. And they showed up, but what was really cool is they pretty much just said fuck our sound check and did that with their fans instead.
Nice.
Just because these people waited forever and they were like so grateful. And they you know, they were all really cool and they fucking slay live, dude. That
Oh
the
my
last
God,
album
yeah,
they put out is so good.
Yeah.
They just put out a new single like yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet. I just saw that like ad for it.
It's good.
It's so metal. It's so
Yeah,
it's
it
so
is.
fucking strung out. It's like
Yeah.
fucking perfect. Yeah.
Dude, and their drummer that they have right now is out of this world, man. That guy is
It's the same dude from the Deviants.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's fucking good, man. He is really good. And their
He is.
guitar players from Strung Out have always been filthy. Like they've always just been kind of like I feel like they're the most like musically gifted Fat Records band.
Yeah.
Besides Propaganda, but
Yeah, like Matt and I say all the time, like we like of all the fucking like SoCal bands, like Strung Out is, as far as musicianship goes, they're fucking, if they're not at the top, they're like right there near the top. Like they're, because their bass player is probably their best guitarist.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
their
mean,
guitarists are amazing.
yeah, they're and to see them do it live too, they like I said, they just
Yeah.
kill it. And I've only seen them that one time. There was another show they had played, and this has been like many years ago, maybe like 15 plus years ago. I was supposed to go see them in DC, and I ended up missing them. They were opening for somebody else. I ended up missing them. And whoever they were opening for, I can't remember who it was at the time. I want to say it was like 5 bands or something, and they were one of the 5.
Was it all?
All I know is whoever they were playing with, I didn't give a fuck about.
Yeah, was
So,
it in the
like-
90s or was this?
No, it was
later?
early 2000s, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. I want to say it was at Nation.
That's where I saw them. That's the only time I
Yeah.
saw them was at Capitol Ballroom,
Yeah,
which turned into Nation.
turned into Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
was
used to love
probably
that
at
place.
both of those shows.
Yeah. 'Cause I think it was Matt. I think it was Pennywise, All, and
Oh,
Strung Out, right?
I actually was like
You're-
backstage at that
yeah,
show.
you were at that show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right because I hate Pennywise. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
that
a-
had to have been it.
It was a 2-night show. It was 2 nights in a row, Friday and Saturday there. The first night was all Strung Out and Pennywise, and the second night was fucking shit. Hot Water Music, AFI, and there was 2 other bands and I can't remember.
You're not a
And I would've-
Pennywise fan, Chad, huh?
No, they've just been that band. I think there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
You know, they're just that band that for some reason for me, I've just never been able to get into them. Like,
I'm not a huge
And I've-
Pennywise fan either.
and to me, like, and this is probably wrong and a stupid thing to say, but it's what I think. I always felt like they were a Bad Religion ripoff for some reason. Like, I always caught like this, like almost like they reminded me of a frat boy Bad Religion. I don't know why, and I think it's like the way their singer's voice is a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just never got into them. And like, they've had a song or two that I've thought was cool before, but like they've just never been a band that I've never really dug. And like most of my friends like them, and you know, I don't hate them to the point where like I don't ever want to hear it, but they're definitely like, you know, I think everybody's got that punk rock band that you're supposed to like. You just
For me,
don't-
it's Rancid.
oh, I love Rancid. Well,
Yeah, see, and
I'll
I'm the odd
rephrase.
man out with that. And I just I don't know what it is, but I can't totally get into them.
I like the first like 4 Rancid albums, and then the later stuff they've done is not even the same band to
They're
me.
great. I mean, I can admit they're amazing. Like, and Out Come the Wolves is like a great fucking punk record. Man.
yeah, I love that album.
A top 10 of like all
Yeah,
time.
yeah. But I don't like oi music, and I think they're close enough to oi music that it kind of turns me off a little bit.
Yeah, I could get that. You know,
Um,
I completely get that.
But I do appreciate them, and Matt Freeman is a fucking
Yeah,
alien
more.
on bass.
Right
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like
that's the best
fucking
way.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's some punk rock bass players that get no love in like the bigger picture of music, and he's definitely one of them. Dude,
Joe
that guy,
Raposo.
the guy from Bouncing Souls
Mhm.
is also completely insane on
I
bass.
hate Bouncing Souls, dude.
I love them,
And I get so much shit.
I
for
love
that
'em too.
all the time.
but I also love Pennywise.
Well, I'll give you shit for that.
I like
Well-
Pennywise, but I'm not like, I wouldn't go out of my way to go see them live.
But-
Like if they were playing in Norfolk, I probably wouldn't have gone. But Strung Out, yes, I'm going down there.
I like old Pennywise though. The best. It's funny because the best new Pennywise record is the one that the dude from Ignite sang on.
Have you?
Oh yeah, when they
It's
had
not
the-
even the one.
yeah.
Jim was the one. Jim didn't do.
I like Full Circle. That's my favorite Pennywise record.
The one to listen to in 2024 is About Time. That is.
Have you
That's a
heard
great one.
Their best
that
record.
band Cigar?
Yeah, fuck yeah. So I used to listen to them in the 90s.
Me too. And
Yeah.
that new album they put out like a year ago or whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't know that their involvement with Pennywise, like they're like boys or something. I read some story about how like Pennywise would like refuse to play Warped Tour back in the day if they didn't put Cigar on one of the side stages. But dude, talk about insane musicians.
Yeah.
That album that they just put out is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That Classic You song that I think they put a video out for. They did a one of those Bridge City sessions of that song, and
nice.
it's like mind blowing. Every time I watch it, it like makes me feel like I shouldn't have ever tried to play music because you could never ever be that good. Like, all of them.
I should watch it. I didn't know they had done the behind.
Yeah, it's not.
Bridge
It's
City
just
session.
insane. It's insane.
That's. I mean, I just want to be clear, like, because my main target for this podcast was getting Fat Mike on the show, and we did that.
Yeah.
My close second is fucking Fletcher. I would love to get Fletcher on this podcast because he seems like the raddest fucking dude ever. And I've emailed him 4 times at least. And I'm gonna keep emailing him, but
all those dudes seem so rad. I just wish that their music wasn't terrible.
I hear you.
The reason that Cigar and Pennywise are boys is because their first record came out on Theologian Records, which was Fletcher's record label back in the
Oh, he had a label. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the Cigar record was on that label.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Cigar was one of those bands like in the 90s. I want to say I was in like late in high school or something that like I just like stumbled upon in a record store and somebody was like, "Oh, that's a cool album." I was like, "Oh, fuck it, I'll get it." It was like $4 or something.
Yeah.
How old are you, Chad? If you don't mind me asking. How old are you? If you don't
42.
Okay.
So I got it, and then I remember like lost it through the years. I kind of forgot about that band, and then I saw that Bridge City thing, and I was like, "Oh shit, these guys are still around." And then I looked it up and was like, "Oh, they haven't put an album out since like 1997 or something like that." So, but they're still around, and you can tell they've been practicing too because it's sick. It's completely sick.
The one they put out on Fat is very good.
Yeah.
Their drummer's insane.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's like there's no words. That's what caught it at first. But then like you go back and listen to it, even their harmonies, like there's not a flaw in what those guys are doing. Like their guitar player is nuts.
Yeah.
He's singing while he's doing it. And then their drummer's singing too. And then their bass player comes in with like a third layer of harmony. And you got like all of a sudden you can have like the Jackson 5 and punk rock at the same time. And they just rip.
When was their Fat Records record put out? That back in the 90s?
A year? No, like a year ago.
Yeah, it's like been like it was 23, I think.
They put one record out back in the 90s, and then they put a second.
That was on Theologian.
Yeah, and then they put a second record out just recently on Fat.
Okay, so every 24 years.
Yes, that's
Sweet.
correct. Yes,
can't wait till 2049.
But you should listen to both those records, Ron, if you haven't ever listened to them, because they are.
I might have. I know I've heard of them. But yeah, I'll give them a spin. Yeah,
their drummer is like old school fucking like bomber drumming for RKL fast. Like he's like
and he does all these like crazy breaks and pauses all over the place.
Nice.
That it almost like replaces his like all of his normal fills and stuff because he plays a really small kit. Like he only plays like one crash cymbal.
I don't even think there's two toms.
Yeah, it's
I think he just has a floor tom and a snare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No shit. No fucking.
No.
Just a floor tom
and a snare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's ridiculous. He clearly doesn't. I'd hate to see what he could do if you put it on there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's just ridiculous.
The best drummers are the ones that can do the most with the little
with nothing.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can't fake drums, man. You can't fake drums and you can't fake vocals. Those are the two things. I've always said it. Like,
so speaking of drums, I wanted to mention that we got a new drummer.
Really?
Now. Yeah. Right. So like we did the shows we did out of town in November. We actually had a fill-in drummer dude that was with us, which is our good friend Nick. And he was in the band briefly before. Really, really good dude, a lot of fun to be around, just doesn't have time for music these days, but he actually kind of like swooped in and saved the day. and came and played those shows with us. And then we started looking around for a drummer, and we had like a bunch of different people try. And then a guy I know that owns he's like a drum coach and teacher, hit me up and was like, "Hey, do you know guys know anybody looking for a drummer that plays your style of music?" And I was like, "Yeah, us." And
Yeah.
he sent this dude named John Welch our way, and we played with him once, and then I remember like he left, and we all were like, "Oh, this is the guy." Like he's a cool dude. He's a very, very different drummer than Keith. Who, by the way, there was nothing bad with Keith. Like he had some like just a lot of personal stuff to attend to.
Yeah.
And couldn't continue doing this because we kind of are at a point where we're playing a lot and traveling a lot, and he doesn't have the ability to continue doing that. So
it's tough when you get older, man.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got kids and everything. We all do, but he just didn't have the flexibility to keep doing that stuff. And he was kind of like, "Guys, like love playing with y'all, but I gotta back out." And he also like helped us. He was like, "I'll help whatever drummer comes in. I'll help do whatever I can," all that stuff. So we just started with him, with John. And I guess it's almost like blessing in disguise that it came in this time window, because we didn't have any shows announced or anything like ready yet. And we have an EP that we're getting ready to record.
Oh yeah.
So it was like a cool opportunity for him to kind of step in and be able to do his own thing and not have to be like, "Hey, well, this is what it's supposed to sound like," or "This is what we already wrote," which we would have to kind of start over again, because we don't want to be the, those kinds of people to somebody in the band. So he kind of came in, he gets it. It's rad. He's left-handed. So lefties uniting.
So the snare's on the right side of the kit.
No, he actually, it's really cool to watch, man. He plays. So I don't know if I've ever told you about this before, but like I've been a drummer my whole life. And I stopped playing drums years ago because it's not really where, my heart is, for one, but I've also been a guitar player my whole life too. And I'm left-handed, and I taught myself to play drums. So when you're teaching yourself, you have to learn from watching other people. So drums are all muscle memory. I learned to play right-handed, but I can do things that are left-handed too. So with, it adds to being a little bit ambidextrous, whatever.
Yeah.
He's the same thing. The only difference is that I think is really slick. He sets up as if he is a right-handed drummer, but he plays open to where he's playing his hi-hat with his left hand and his snare with his right. So I know that people can't see this, but he plays like this.
Like this. Weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
then
so weird.
he uses, instead of using rack toms, he uses 2 floors. So he's got one that's on the right-hand side for like if he's doing just like, finishing a roll.
Yeah.
And then the one that's on his left-hand side is for like if he's like playing a beat on his floor tom.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a pretty like, it's not a wild ass setup. Like he's got drums all over the place, but he just doesn't have to deal with having like rack toms in front of him. He's just got those 2 toms, so he can go from snare to the floor tom on one side if he's doing a roll, because he's playing, essentially a right-handed kit. But it's also good too, because like if we're playing a show somewhere, and a lot of times, when you're traveling, you're sharing drum kits, he doesn't have to like break everybody's shit down or do any stuff like that. He can just set up on a right-handed kit, and he's cool. It's obviously different playing with a different drummer, but he brought a different dynamic to the new stuff that we're writing. So it made all the new stuff very different than what we pictured. And it kind of like helped us write in a different style a little bit almost, because there are things that, when you get used to playing with one person, your flow is always there and it's always got the similarities to it. And now all of a sudden we all had to kind of go, whoa, like shit, our flow is different now. So the new stuff came out. I'm stoked to get in and record it. It's really, really different to an extent. And it still sounds like Over Our Eyes, but it's like, it's a little bit, some of it's slower and some of it's faster, so we kind of were able to integrate some things. His influences are different than some of the influences that we've had in the past. It was cool when I first met the guy. He was like, "Hey, just so you know, I like Leatherface." And I was like, well, that's fucking awesome, because that's like a comparison that we get a lot. And I think that I might be the only person in Over Our Eyes that actually really loves Leatherface. So they're one of those bands that I feel like they're like Jawbreaker, in the respect that people that are like, "You like Jawbreaker?" "Oh, I like Jawbreaker." And then you can talk for 6 weeks about Jawbreaker. I think
Yeah.
Leatherface is kind of like that to me, you know.
Yeah.
So when you find somebody else who's a Leatherface fan, you always got something to talk about,
Yeah.
you know. So
I think we had this conversation once over text, didn't we? Because I like Leatherface too.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually like when we were working on some of the new stuff, there's like parts that you know, anytime you're writing, your influences show a lot. There's parts that like I changed because I was like, that sounds like a Leatherface song. I can't do that. Like we can't have that
Yeah.
there because it's got that same like I don't know, he's just got a really, really unique method of playing guitar, you know, and I think that it starts to bleed into your thought process when you start writing stuff. So it's cool though. Like, I don't know. I think everybody's gonna be really stoked on it, on the new stuff, and we're gonna release it differently because we had, you know, the whole catastrophe with Paper Ships. Like we finally just got that released, at least on cassette, because we've just had like fuck up after fuck up and catastrophe after catastrophe. And thankfully, you know, Mike from Coffin Curse, who you guys know well, was like, hey, you have to put this out somehow. Let me do this cassette for you. So like we did that. And then we did even the cassette. This is crazy too. Since day one of this album, trying to put it out, something fucked up has happened with every single step except for two things. We released a video, and that was since the last time I talked to you guys. We did a video for the song Jackets. That went off without a hitch. No issues at all. The only other thing that worked was the dude who recorded it did a great job. Like that, like everything else that could go wrong went wrong. From like Spotify released it under a different band name early. So
Oh,
we couldn't
man.
even shop it. Like every fucking thing that could go wrong. And then now, even when we got to like releasing this cassette, it was supposed to be blue and it came in green. Like, so now we're not doing a limited run of blue. We have a limited run of green with a
Right.
limited run of blue on the way.
So
So,
yeah.
so
Where are you recording this next one?
I'm not going to say,
Okay.
I'll tell you guys privately about that,
Gotcha.
but it's fucking sick. It's really, really sick. And the dude who did our last one is involved a little bit too.
Sweet.
But the way we're going to release this one, we're actually going to get it done. We're going to do another video. And then we're going to try to see what we can get behind it a little bit more. And I think we'll have a little bit more resources to be able to do that.
And are you working with Coffin Curse for this one too?
No, so we just did that with that release with Coffin Curse. Like we're not
Okay.
really, you know, I would love to. I love Mike, and you know,
Mhm.
Reckless Threats
Yeah.
fucking great. I mean, Mike is an
Yeah.
amazing guy. I love working with them and everything about them. You know, if it's something that he wanted to do, it's something we want to talk about for sure. You know, he's always been really, really good to us.
Yeah.
And
He's
you know,
a good
I
dude.
met that guy over talking about Lifetime on some random shit. We were talking about Jersey's Best Dancers. And he was like, oh, well, he's like, I'm having a surgery and I actually am like selling some records. You have any interest in this? And he's like, and then he sends it to me. I got the clear vinyl of, I bought it off of him. And then he sent it to me with like a bunch of records.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this is a fucking cool ass label. And then all of a sudden I started seeing like some of my friends' bands on the comps and everything else. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, wow. And me and I have stayed in touch since then. He's from the same town as people that I have family in. So we've went down and played in Tennessee. And
Sweet.
hung out with him and hit, you know, his people. So I'm hoping that, you know, if he wants to do it, then we would. But you know, we're more focused on getting it done first.
Yep.
Just because it's such a challenge to get things demoed and get it done, and then actually get time to get into the studio, and you know, get all that stuff knocked out.
Yeah.
So, but it's coming quick, and it's coming soon. So we're really, really hoping that the reason we're doing an EP is we think that we can get it out faster.
Yeah.
And you know, we're kind of like, especially Nima right now is like, I don't know what is going on with him, but it's like text message after text message after text message of like new song.
Yeah.
And he's like just sitting in his house recording music. You know, so
That's awesome.
if we wanted to, we could kind of like send that guy off to like an island somewhere and just be like, Nemo, we need 15 songs. And he would probably be like an hour later, be like, hey, here's 15. Let's see what we can do. I mean, he's just nonstop with it right
Yeah.
now, which is amazing. It's amazing that to have, you know, people that write like that all the time.
Totally.
I'm stoked to hear it, dude. Like super
man.
stoked to hear it because it was cool that it got re-released this year. Just so like, you know,
Yeah.
you could just listen to it all over again. It's
Yeah,
a
I
great
mean,
record.
we also did this past year, which some stuff that we got it just in time for the last run of shows that we did. We did I did this collaboration effort with this dude named Bobby Draws Skulls. His name is Bobby Brown.
Mhm.
He does like
Bobby Brown.
yeah, Bobby Brown, man.
Mm.
The Bobby
He-
Brown.
Yeah.
Sorry,
he does
Whitney. Sorry.
he does a bunch of skateboard art and he's been
Nice.
doing it for a long time. He you know, he's done stuff with like Pal Peralta, Brand X,
Hell
a
yeah.
bunch of like companies that I really think is cool. You know, we linked up with him, so we got like new shirts, new hoodies, a bunch of stickers, like a bunch of stuff of like these like badass, like they almost look like late 80s, early 90s, like West Coast skate stuff
Fuck yeah.
that
That's shit.
that he did.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool looking. If you look on our Facebook page, I think that like our logo now is one of them.
Awesome.
So
Nice.
we got a bunch of that stuff finally done, finally. So it was like all of a sudden, you know, we're ready. We're ready for 24 now because we got, you know, we have a show coming up in March, which unfortunately is not announced yet, so I can't say, but it's in Salisbury.
Oh, sweet.
Like we're doing that, and then we're working on right now for like late spring. We're gonna book the Midwest, which is almost completely booked now. So we're gonna go to the Midwest, and then we're just gonna keep hitting the Northeast and the South again, and just keep.
What are the dates for the Midwest?
We're looking Midwest. We're looking at May.
May, okay.
Right now. So the second week of May is what we're hoping for everything to fall in place for.
Cool.
So we're gonna do that on our own, and then we're gonna do. I've been talking with Eric from 40 Reps, and we really want to put something together. Which, by the way, dude, their new record is
So good.
the best fucking thing ever. I hope those. I'm sure that they have to know, but I hope those dudes realize how special that album is because it's like really, really, really good. I cannot stop listening to it.
As I keep telling everybody, they're going places.
Yeah,
You can't put records out like that and not go somewhere.
yeah. I mean, and you can't get it out of your head.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, and I told like when they played Matt, when was that show that we did? December 2nd, because that's we do it every year on December 2nd. You know, my wife is not into punk rock at all. And she after they played, she was like, I really like that band. You know, they have a sound that really resonates with like a lot of different people. And I think that's
it's like
a great thing.
It's like a versatile sound almost. Like you don't have to be a punk rocker to like what they do, you know, and it's similar to like how, you know, my wife is into Gaslight Anthem and bands like that. Like she likes them a lot too. And it's I just think that they can hit such a broad spectrum of people that are into different kinds of music. But those dudes, like that album is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And like that they're one of those bands that the first time we linked up with them and played with them, I remember like we were driving home. I was like, man, these guys are fucking amazing. Like they're so good. Like they have awesome presence. They're killer live. And then they put that album out. Like I heard the first song and I was literally like, the day that comes out, I'm fucking buying it. Like, you know, like, and that's a rare thing, but they're just such a ridiculously good band and great people too, man. Like really good people.
I've never seen so many random people go up to a band at one of our shows at the pie shop and like be like, you guys are fucking rad.
Yeah.
Like just so many people that work there that don't do that to bands, just like everyone. So many random people at that show went up to them afterwards and were just like, yeah, it's
good. They deserve it, man. When you put an album out like that, I hope they get told all the time that it's killer because it absolutely is.
They do deserve it, 100%.
Well, my record label would love to put out a split 7-inch with you and 40 Reps.
Hey, I would be all over it if they would be, you know. So if they had time to do it, but their next album is probably going to be on fucking Epic Records or something as insanely good as they are. You know, they're not gonna. You know, their next album is going to be sought after, man.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
This is my third 12% alcohol beer.
The Revenge of the Elf. Although it's not the Elf on this.
No, it's not. It's way more potent than the Elf.
I've not really been to any shows lately. I'm going to go see Twin Temple in February, which I'm pretty stoked to go see them. I've never got the opportunity to see them before. but no, I've been crazy with the restaurants and trying to get that done. And I've actually been dealing with an injury that's like kind of kept me away from really doing anything. Like we've been going to practice and I've been actually sitting down in a stool.
What happened?
Like
What's your
Kip
injury?
Winger or something. And I don't know what happened, man. I literally woke up one day and I couldn't move. I kid you not. Like I woke up and couldn't
Really?
move. It was right when we came back from New York. So this has been going on since early November. And it's some weird, they said it's an old injury that's caused a disc in my back to press into my sciatic nerve.
Ah,
But the pain is referring into my leg. So it's like
yeah.
the injury is actually on the right hand side of my lower back, but it's referring into my left leg.
You have sciatica?
Yeah, it's
My wife has
caused
it,
all
so-
kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was like they said the nerve bundle was like trapped in a muscle that surrounds your hip flexor area.
Damn.
So my leg like wasn't working for like a month. Like it was crazy. Like it would I could
Well,
stand up.
your
and walk
job, you're
around.
standing up. Like, how does that affect anything?
It affects everything. It sucks. Like
Yeah.
you still gotta. I still
good
get the
answer.
job done. It
Because you're a
just
chef.
required.
Like, yeah.
It just
Yeah.
required me like I was wearing a back brace, this thing that wraps around your hip and wraps around your leg.
Mhm.
Then I was also wearing this compression thing on my calf that you can shove ice packs into. So I
yeah.
had to do like 40 minutes on, 20 minutes off of ice all day, the whole time
Damn.
I'm on my feet. And then there was a couple days where like 15 minutes on my feet, I was like, I can't stand up. Like I can't do this today.
Yeah.
But now the positive thing is like it's getting rectified. I have to get a couple different injections that are on the books for later this month. But like I've been going to physical therapy and an acupuncturist. And dude,
Nice.
acupuncture is the shit. It is
I heard
amazing.
that's great.
Like
Yeah.
it's one day of being like having needles shoved in you and then your body like plugged into a wall essentially.
Yeah.
Like I could see how the Frankenstein shit works because all of a sudden
Oh,
like
yeah.
my leg was moving on its own. And then I
That's
like got
awesome.
up and felt like I could run, which had not happened in weeks at that point. But
Nice.
it's it's kept me away from doing a lot of the stuff I've wanted to do, at least comfortably. Like I took my son to see Kiss.
Oh, sweet.
So we went to that, and I'm not a big Kiss fan, but holy dude, those guys, they fucking put on a show, man. Like they do it, and they're like 120 years old. So
Yeah, but they're all staged now.
yeah, but man, dude, it's like it doesn't even matter if they sound good, which they did. They did really sound good, and they were smart about how they did it. They made it to where a casual Kiss fan or like somebody who just barely likes them, like myself.
Where was it?
Baltimore Arena, or what's it called?
Okay.
The whatever they call it now, but
Yeah.
actually my
yeah.
parents went. My parents went too, which was kind of cool.
Nice.
But like they were smart in the fact that they played like 10 hits just nonstop right at the beginning.
Mhm.
Then they got into all the bullshit by the time my son was ready to go to bed. And my back and leg hurt really bad. So I was like, let's just roll. All right, see ya. We rolled out by the time it became like the Deep Kiss convention. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But dude, it was like one note, 7,000 explosions and fire. Then the next
Yeah.
note. Like
That's
and
how
it does,
Kiss
and
do.
it's like you get bands like Metallica will come out. There's like a bunch of explosions and fire, and then it's not that like that anymore. It's non-fucking stop with them, man. Like it's like the temperature goes up by like 40 degrees,
Nice.
and it's just nonstop, like fire, explosions, fucking rockets shooting out of guitars, blood flying out of people's mouth, like, and it just doesn't stop. And then if it does stop, there's like giant holograms doing things too. So like there's just
Awesome.
it's never ending entertainment. Like it's
Dude,
better than
smoke
it was,
coming out of
like
Ace
pro wrestling.
Frehley's
Ace Frehley.
Ace the head, Ace
Yeah.
Frehley's guitar, or the frets or whatever.
That's awesome.
It was like when you see on like WrestleMania when like that the championship fight comes on, like the title match, and the dude comes out and there's like explosions and fire and everybody goes ape shit.
Yeah.
It was like 40 minutes straight of that. of that moment for 40 straight minutes with Kiss as the entrance music.
Speaking of wrestling, my wife works the janitor in her building is a former WWF wrestler. He was a jobber back in the day. So he would just lose to like all these famous wrestlers. And then he did this one, his most recent stint was he did like this fake Goldberg impersonation.
Wait a minute. Is it the Gilbert guy?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I remember that shit.
Yes. So he is the janitor in my wife's building. And he wants, by the way, Matt, he wants to be on the podcast. So.
Yep, I'm in.
Yes,
Let's do this. 100%.
But he was a jobber for decades. Like he would just wrestle these, big wrestlers and lose. He was like one of those wrestlers that would just go out there and just get their ass beat.
Hulk Hogan would throw him out the ring.
Yeah, but then Gilbert, it was Gilbert.
You figured that the Gilbert dude would at least be like a bartender somewhere or something.
No,
no knocking janitors, but I mean, you figure that they took better care of those people because they made a lot of money.
If there's a janitor to pick like your favorite one, this is the guy.
Yeah,
it's got to be Gilbert, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's him, and he's got to have insane stories.
Yeah,
he's got to have insane stories.
Do you ever listen to any of the like old wrestling podcasts, like Jim Cornette or any of the guys? It's unreal. Like the stuff that those dudes were doing back in the day. Like all of them should be in jail.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like that show Dark Side of the Ring on Vice.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't even scratch the surface of the shit those guys were doing on a day-to-day basis. But you figure that like I knew who Gilbert was, and I haven't watched wrestling in like decades.
That's so funny. I never heard I didn't know there was a Gilbert until she was like talking to this guy and like. But he's like really excited to be on a podcast because I guess he's been as a janitor since he's been in.
And it's just kind of bullshit because you figure as much money as those people they made in that era, that was like the Steve Austin and Goldberg era of wrestling. Like you'd figure the dude would be taken care of to a point where he doesn't have to like, because his body's got to be fucked up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
from that too. Like so he's probably been beaten down and now he's stuck having to be a janitor after making millions of dollars for somebody. It's kind of shitty.
Yeah,
I would love to hear his story, man. Get him on.
We're gonna
do it. Yeah.
So when I lived in the Middle River area, I used to see Nikolai Volkov all the time before he passed away. He lived there, and I talked to him a bunch. There was like a bar that was near my old house that did karaoke like once or twice a week. Yeah. And like once every few months he would host it.
Nice.
And I talked to him for a while and I was expecting like the crazy, like, I was at Waffle House with Macho Man at 4 a.m, high on cocaine, kind of stories from him. But no, that dude, he never drank in his life.
Wow.
He was a vegan, not a vegan. He never ate any red meat or chicken. He only ate seafood and plants.
Wow.
His entire life. And he was also, man, if I had to guess, like when I have a picture with him, and he's got his that America and Russia jacket on that he used to wear in the 80s. I have a picture with him and if I had to guess, probably like late 60s, maybe like mid to late 60s. It's hard to tell with somebody like him, but he was a fucking giant, man. Like he was, I'm not the smallest guy, but he was like twice as wide as me and easily like, it felt like a foot taller than me. Yeah. Like he was giant, but hell of a nice guy. So I remember when he passed away, I was like, damn, that he was a good dude, man. But he, fortunately for him, unlike a lot of those people from that era, he got to live a long and relatively successful life after that.
The Very Scary People episode is going to Jim Jones now. Jimmy Jones.
Are you watching that now?
I mean, it's on in the background. I'm not really like paying attention,
it's
but
definitely way more entertaining to me. That's for sure.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Except for this fucking robe right here.
My favorite serial killer is Ed Kemper.
Oh yeah, he's an interesting one.
That dude's
sure
fucking crazy. And when I say favorite, I don't mean like, I I
That
don't
you
love what he
endorse
did.
him.
Yeah. It's just like super, and also like Son of Sam, just because I'm obsessed with New York in the 70s. And he kind of, that was when he was doing his thing.
Did you ever read the book called The Last Victim?
No.
So it's this guy, he was like writing his, I guess, like a research paper for college, and he was a human psychology of some form PhD student. He wrote letters to a bunch of different serial killers, but wrote them framing himself as what one of their victims would be.
Really?
And he would get responses occasionally from some of them, but he actually developed like the persona he created developed a relationship with John Wayne Gacy.
Wow.
And he ended up actually being, the book's called The Last Victim because like John Wayne Gacy basically tried to victimize him when he was in prison. And if you read the book, it's really insane. Like he was there. He was the only person invited to his execution.
Wow.
They said that there was a point where he was like so friendly with all the guards and everything that they basically left him alone with John Wayne Gacy, which that should not have ever happened. It was like against this guy's will.
Yeah.
They made a movie out of it too. And actually he's in the Netflix series when they did the John Wayne Gacy tapes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's in it a lot, like as one of the people speaking, the author of that book. But that's an interesting one. But they made a movie out of it too. But it's unreal to read that book.
John Wayne Gacy was a fucking when they just found they found the fucking bodies under his house, and they just kept finding more and more and more. It's like, God damn.
Didn't they tore the house down because they thought they just to be able to find them all?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's insanity, man. And then there's other ones from like back in the day that were just confessing to everything, whether they did it or not.
Yeah.
And what was the guy from Texas? I forgot. Was it Henry Lee Lucas? The guy from Texas that like they said killed more people than ever, and now they question if he killed anybody at all.
Oh, really?
Or maybe one person, which doesn't mark him as like one of the most infamous people of all time. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think that like it's such like a dark hobby to watch all these documentaries and stuff like that. But it's
totally.
There's a reason they keep making them.
It's
and,
fascinating.
It's just it's amazing to think that like people are capable of this type of shit.
Yes. Yeah.
And what makes them tick? Like what makes people want to be that way? Who was the dude who had the infomercials back in the day that was like completely ripped, but he had a big head? He did like Bowflex commercials or some shit back in the day.
I know who you're talking about.
He looks like if you took that guy and put Michael Jackson's head on it. It's like what this dude looks like.
I can see the dude's face. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. It's like that guy. But it like, I don't know. I need to find more cults like that because the entertaining cults are much better than the ones that are like out to take over the world, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to hear a funny story about Bowflex?
Jesus Christ.
It's short. Okay. So remember when Bowflex like failed and started like hurting people, and I think it maybe killed a couple people.
Did it really?
Yeah. They were like snapping on people and fucking them up really bad. I worked for a company called Galleons during that time. Sporting company. It was a main competitor of Dick's, the Galleons and Dick's. Dick's eventually won, bought Galleons out. But when the whole Bowflex thing happened, because we sold Bowflexes, and my job was to deliver them and install them, not just Bowflexes, but like that was just one of the many things we delivered and installed. I was one of the motherfuckers who had to go around back to all the places to get the Bowflexes after the recall happened, and they owed all these people money. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Did you ever go to like to disassemble a Bowflex and there's like human hair stuck in the bow part of it?
Yes. 100% that happened. Yes.
Yeah, that's fucked up, dude. That is fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, Bowflex had a bad rep since Chris Benoit. Let's be real. I mean, I mean, it's never been a thing. But I can't remember that guy's name who used to do those infomercials, and now it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna have to look it up later and see who the Bowflex guy was. Because it
How long
wasn't
ago
Chuck
was that?
Norris. It wasn't Chuck Norris.
Because Chuck Norris started doing it eventually, right?
maybe.
Chuck Norris, he did one with Christy Brinkley. I don't know if it was Bowflex or not.
It wasn't that fucking leg thing, was it?
Oh, the Thigh Master? No.
No,
it was
wasn't
some.
the
I
Thigh
remember
Master.
Chuck Norris did a dumb one too.
Uh,
Yeah, right. Chuck Norris couldn't be on a boat. He'd busted that machine in 70 pieces, man.
yeah. Yep.
You can't roundhouse kick with
Michael
Bowflex.
Palinko, is that?
Wait,
who
hold
it
on.
is?
Red Nose. What was it? Nordic Track.
Nordic Track. Yeah, that was
Oh
it.
yeah.
What is your favorite Chuck Norrisism? You know, they're like, you know,
Oh,
Chuck
yeah.
Norris doesn't jump and doesn't get wet.
Yeah.
The water gets Chuck Norris.
My favorite one is if Chuck Norris is late, time better slow the fuck down.
Oh God, man.
I got Chuck Norris wears a rattlesnake for a condom.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know how we went from punk rock to serial killers to
It happens.
cults to all of a sudden talking about infomercial bodybuilders.
It's the best way.
Yeah.
The most disappointing serial killer is not Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson,
Yeah.
because he didn't do anything. He's just a
No,
fucking,
not really. He just manipulated people.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
His interviews were amazing though. If
They
you
were.
ever see any of the old news show broadcast interviews with him, they're fucking buck wild. That dude he's another one. I don't understand how people it had to be drugs that made people all for that dude and start, because when you hear him talk, you're just like, if somebody were coming at me like that, I'd be like, hey man, we need to talk about the fucking moon and the stars and the other shit that he's saying. I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone and get away from me. You know,
It's crazy.
every time you see an interview with that guy, it was so off the wall that you're just like, all right, these people that were following him deserve to fucking be locked up just for following him, because you got to be insane. But it had to have been drugs. It had to have been drugs with that guy for sure.
Totally.
There's no way that they weren't eating every hallucinogen under the sun.
Something broke him. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because previous to him breaking, the guy had a pretty good thing going on.
Didn't he also stay with the dude from the Beach Boys for a while too?
Dude, he was
was good
writing
friends with
music
him.
with them and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like boys.
He almost became like a popular fucking songwriter / musician.
Yeah.
He was an actor too, I think, right?
I don't know about that, but maybe he was. Yeah.
I don't know. He's one that I never cared to read that much about because I always just thought it was silly.
Yeah, he threw a lot away. Dude had a pretty good fucking life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had to have been some kind of wild ass drugs with him.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to be.
Wasn't he associated with MK Ultra?
They say that now. I don't know if it's true, but that's definitely a theory that's out there.
Yeah.
It could be. You never know.
I know his name comes up with that, so I don't know.
I mean, the CIA probably has infiltrated most things in this country. We definitely know the entertainment industry is one of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's possible. I know there was it was again in one of my random feeds of things you may like. It was some interview with some guy who was talking about how it was it was literally called Helter Skelter, the link with the Manson family and MK Ultra. I just didn't watch it because I was all right, I don't know how far of a rabbit hole I feel like going into this evening about shit that's probably not true, you know?
Yeah.
Before we let you go, I see, we talked about your robe earlier, and it's a Raven's robe.
Yeah, buddy.
I wish I'd have known. I would have worn my robe. I wear my robe sometimes.
I have a robe too.
That's the thing. Oh, you got one now?
I've had one for a while. I just don't wear it that often, actually. But I could start. Maybe it could be like a OBH thing. We wear robes
once a month.
I wear this robe in my basement because it's fucking freezing down.
Yeah, I love a good robe.
Yeah,
I don't wear anything under my robe though.
I typically don't either, but you know.
I'm all exposed, baby. Usually I have it closed, but sometimes, if I get excited, you never know. How confident are you with the Ravens against the Texans?
Oh, I'm super confident, man. Yeah, I mean, if we got a minute, I'll tell you what I think about this team
Yeah, go.
right now. So like, I've been a Ravens season ticket holder for 17 years, 16 years at this
Nice.
point. And I'm a very, very diehard Ravens fan. And growing up in this area, we did not have football or a football team. So I grew up like a football fan, but I was never a dude who played football. That's never been for me. But like
Mm.
I've always loved football. And I like the mental break.
So who were
But
you a fan of before the Ravens?
I watched a lot of everybody, man. Before
Okay.
the Ravens came, I used to really like the Dolphins because I liked watching Dan Marino. I liked
yeah,
watching the
classic.
49ers because of
Fuck
Joe
yeah.
Montana. Like we
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to see a lot of greats in my childhood.
Yeah.
Back to this Ravens team, for all I know, they could walk in there and lose. I don't foresee that happening. I think that 2019, it was a very immature team. I think that they had poor leadership. I think that John Harbaugh is only as good as the staff he surrounds himself with. And I think that's
Mhm.
always been a problem of his. I think that when they play bad teams, they're unprepared. They overlook them. They don't take them seriously.
Mm.
But I think that's different this year. And this is the first time that I at least feel like this is a Ravens team that takes everybody seriously. And they learned that early in the season that if you don't take a shit team like the Indianapolis Colts seriously, they'll beat your ass. And I think that this is a team that could have very well been undefeated. When you go look at the games that they lost, they just straight up played like shit. They didn't get pounded by a team that was just outright better than them. They've beaten every team that has a winning record that they've played, which is 10, which was 10 this season. They've beaten them by 14 or more points. They decimated the Super Bowl favorites in the 49ers.
Yeah.
They had the last 5-game stretch where, they had played every team they played is in the playoffs, and everybody said that they would be lucky to come out with one win. They did not lose one of those games, and they didn't lose, and they won them convincingly.
Yeah.
I think this defense is fucking special right now, more so than the offense, but the depth is outstanding. And there's like people on this team now that I think the maturity level, I think they're more prepared mentally for this. And I think that if Buffalo was coming in here this week, I might feel different. But I think that the Texans are just going to be severely outmatched by the stadium and by the defense.
Who's that? I think it's your D line coach who gets it. Is getting everybody pumped up? Do you know?
Oh, the D line coach Weaver.
Yeah.
He's going to be gone. The Ravens coaching staff is going to get gutted this year. They're going to all be head coaches somewhere else.
Because I know they're talking about one of our candidates, one of our top like 3 candidates is your guys' defensive coordinator. Like
McDonald.
Yeah.
He's they said today he's already had 5 head coaching interviews.
One of them was with us.
Yeah. I think Atlanta, the Chargers were one. I think the Falcons are about to hire Belichick.
Yeah, that's happening.
They could fucking take him. Fuck
Yeah,
that
that's
guy.
That's crazy.
He wants to win a Super Bowl for a franchise that's never won one.
Yeah, well, I mean, all he's got to do is cheat. He proved it for fucking many years in New
Oh,
England.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think the Ravens are. I was at the. I don't go to a lot of the games. I usually sell the tickets or give them to people. But I was at the Miami game with my buddy Dolphin Dan, and I've had to endure some bad Dolphins beatdowns. 2 years ago in Miami, we went down to that game and the Ravens got demolished on a Thursday night. Then we went last year and the Ravens were up by 34 points at halftime and lost. But the stadium this year, I've been to fucking hundreds of games at this point, playoffs, everything. That was the most electric I have ever seen. That stadium was for that game. And I had like people were going, it was louder than I've ever heard it. The energy was just ridiculous in there. And I think that anybody that walks into Baltimore is going to have a really, really hard time dealing with that. It is the NFL and anything can happen, but I'm very, very, very confident that Baltimore is going to dismantle the Texans.
I think they're winning. I think it's going to be the Ravens over the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Hey, I mean,
I still hold my preseason pick.
What's that?
My preseason pick was fucking Niners Bills.
That could happen, man. The Bills are hot right now, but I think they're not. I think they're a team that's deeply flawed right now. I don't think that they're as good as. I don't think they're as good as advertised. I mean, they just beat a extremely depleted Dolphins team, and I understand it's divisional. But they barely scraped past them at the end of the season. They were a Tua interception away from losing that game, and then they've struggled against the Eagles, who everyone's like, oh, they just beat the Eagles, whatever. The Eagles we just saw are a fucking dumpster fire right now.
I said they were going to be terrible in the preseason, didn't I, Ron?
Yeah.
I did.
Dude, at that playoff game, somebody had a fucking sign that was like right by the tunnel when the Eagles were leaving, and it said Kevin Stefanski eats plant-based cheesesteak.
I saw that.
That picture of him with the tears streaming down my face is
funny,
like, oh,
dude, there's no excuse. I mean, we just learned how valuable their offensive coordinator was to them because he's been bullshit ever since that dude went to the Colts. So
yeah, no shit. That dude's a seriously good coach. He is. Fuck, why can't I think of his name? I could think of their defensive coordinator that went to the Cardinals' name, Gannon, but whatever. I can't think of his name. But that dude, nobody thought the Colts were going to be good this year. No one.
No.
They were like, this team, there's no way they were going to be the worst team in the NFL.
Who would have known what they would have done if Richardson didn't get hurt? Because he was fucking
no shit.
balling.
He was no shit.
But
even fucking what's his Uncle Rico? Why can't I think of his name?
Minshew?
Yeah, Minshew. Thank you.
Minshew.
Yeah, fucking Uncle Rico. He didn't play bad either.
No, I mean he's always kind of lit people up a little bit though. He just makes a lot of stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
I think what makes a great quarterback is the ones who will win a lot of games for you, but will not lose them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's the quarterback that he could win a bunch of games, but he will lose a bunch of games that will be his fault.
He's the Doug Flutie of this generation.
Yeah, but you know what though? That last game where he threw where that pass was thrown to a fourth down conversion,
that should have been caught.
That I disagree.
100%.
I think that was all Minshew. He did not throw the ball. No, I mean there's no way that guy on a screen pass could have adjusted to turn back, stop, and go backwards to catch that ball. It was a poorly placed, poorly timed ball.
It hit him in the hands.
Yeah, I mean he's lucky. He's lucky it even did that.
He should have been in the game.
Go watch that again. Go watch that again.
Oh, I watched it like 50 fucking times. There should have been Jonathan Taylor in there.
That was stupid as fuck too. Yeah. But I don't, if that ball
was bad
exact
coaching.
same play, Taylor's not catching that either.
He is.
I
disagree. That's an easy catch.
he may have torn an MCL or something trying to do it. So, but yeah, man, I think the Ravens are going to win. Honestly, I think the Ravens might win everything this year, but
they might.
I don't like getting ahead of myself and saying that because, like I said, it's the NFL. Anything can happen, and CJ Stroud is playing out of his mind. I think this. I honestly think that of the remaining teams in the AFC, I think the Texans have more of a chance of beating Baltimore than Buffalo or KC does. And the reason I say that is that Houston's already played them this year. And I think that is very, very big in terms of seeing Lamar Jackson in a season. That's why his record is so good against NFC teams. They've never seen him before.
Yeah.
And you look at his history when they play teams twice, a lot of times they split.
Do you think he's going to win MVP this season?
Yes.
That would be crazy because did he throw a 20th touchdown in the last game? I don't think he did, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't think it matters either.
I think that
because he makes plays other ways, but it'd be crazy. It'd be the first NFL MVP quarterback who hasn't thrown at least 20 touchdowns in like a really long time.
I think he threw 5 in the Dolphins game.
Did he?
Yeah.
He might have ended right at 20. I know it was close.
I think he had 24.
Oh, did he?
I think it was 24 touchdowns and he has 5 rushing. So I think
okay.
So I think he had 24 passing, 20. I think it was 29 total touchdowns. I could be wrong, but I think it's 29. I think the number was under 30.
I'm not a Ravens fan or anything. I don't hate on him or anything like that. But I think he's going to win it.
This is the thing about Lamar Jackson. I'm a diehard Lamar fan. I lost my mind when they drafted him, and everybody the next day was like, "Oh, this is dumb as fuck." And I was
Yeah.
like, why? Like, what is wrong with this? Like, I was actually, I was hurt. I was like, this
Yeah.
sucks. Like, I'm fucking so pumped for this. And I think John Harbaugh summed it up really well in 2019 when Lamar was like going rip shit on people with no weapons whatsoever. Really, really bad offensive coordinator. Harbaugh pulled him aside. It was in that Seattle game right after they went for it. And Lamar beat an NFL team by himself in that game. No one was doing anything to help him. And he just went ballistic. I think that will be like the game of his career when his career ends. But he went fucking crazy in the second half. He had like 100 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, like just went rip shit. That was the day I was like, that guy's going to win the fucking MVP. And that was in 2019. But John Harbaugh on the bench, there's like a moment where he's like yelling at him and it's on the Wired thing. And he's telling him, he's like, do you realize what you're doing right now? And he told him, he was like, every kid is going to be fighting over wearing the number 8 when they're playing in school.
Yeah.
And that is true. It's very, very true. And I get to see it in real time because my son's 11 years old and I could never get him to watch football until he saw Lamar start going crazy.
Yeah.
And now this will be his first game coming with me on Saturday.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
But, now he wants to watch it. And all his friends, when they're like throwing a football out back, they're all like, I'm Lamar Jackson. And then they'll start running around and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like we did with Michael Jordan when we were kids or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But people are using, and this is why I think Lamar is the MVP. And I don't even think it should be a question. People use traditional stats to try to justify how good or not good he is. You can't do that with him.
No, you can't.
You cannot do it. Every single game that he plays, I don't give a shit what team it is right now. He is the best player on the field from both teams combined, and it's not close. I think he's arguably the best player in all of football right now. He's at least up there as one of the best athletes in all of football, but he just fucking wins, man. Like he makes shit happen.
Yeah.
He almost seems like he defies like science with some of the plays that he makes. And there's some plays where he's been in the pocket running around for 15 seconds this year and then can drop a dime 40 yards down the field.
Yeah.
The dude's got an arm for real.
Yeah. And does he make a lot of mistakes? Yep. I think he tries to play Superman way too much. But the thing is, like, this season, he seems to have matured quite a bit, and he's not doing that as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's always been the big knock on him besides that and health. But he also now has, proper guidance and proper leadership where before, and let's be real here, he's the only reason Greg Roman had a job the past couple of years. And Greg Roman's job as offensive coordinator was just be like, all right, you guys run and do some shit down there. You run over and do some crap over there. Hope that this guy blocks and Lamar do your thing. That was what their entire offense was with Greg Roman. And that's why the kid kept getting hurt. He doesn't have to do that now. And you're seeing he's not run first. He's using his legs wisely and he still has like 900 rushing yards. So I don't know. I just think the dude is a phenom and we're very, very lucky to get to watch him right now. I felt the same way when Michael Vick was doing his shit.
Yep.
Before he started killing dogs and doing all the disgusting shit that he did.
No, he was a beast,
watching him, he changed everything. He changed the whole landscape. And I think Lamar is doing it now, and he's way fucking better than what Vic was doing. And he's the evolution of quarterbacks now.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that we're lucky to get to see it right now. And I'm lucky as a Ravens fan to get to have that dude as a quarterback every week.
Yeah, and if he wins another MVP this year, I think it would be really hard for anyone to argue with you, honestly.
Well, everybody wants to argue now. I feel like outside of Baltimore, everybody thinks it should be somebody else. But I mean, we saw him on the field with everybody else in the discussion, and he's whipped their ass.
Like who though? Like
Tyreek. People say a lot, but I think Tyreek showed late in the season he fell apart.
A receiver's never won it, and
CMC.
Christian McCaffrey, he's a beast.
He's an animal.
There's a good argument there.
He's
but
why I won my fantasy league.
There's a good argument there.
CMC wasn't the best player on the field when Baltimore and San Fran played.
He might no, probably not. No, I don't know if there's another argument.
I know Purdy was a big name, but he wasn't the best player on the field when San Fran and Baltimore played either.
But yeah, when Purdy had that really fucking terrible game that kind of knocked him out of the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know who else could possibly be it. Maybe Josh Allen could be in the discussion now.
Maybe he throws way too many interceptions.
Yeah, I mean,
to be an MVP at least.
He had
Like,
a rough first half of the
he's a-
year.
He's an amazing fucking athlete, and amazing talent.
is,
but
yeah.
he turns the ball over way too much.
Yeah, he turns the ball over too much. But again, we finally saw a change with Buffalo that I thought has been a problem with them for a long time. Is, people like to say that Lamar runs too much. Josh Allen runs too fucking much. He is he is their running game. And
He's also really reckless at the end of his run.
they've had killer running backs that they don't use though.
I know.
You know what I mean? They've had look at
I mean, currently they have James Cook. Like, he's a pretty good fucking running back.
they traded Zach Moss last year and
Yeah.
never used him. He had horrible numbers. Look how sick he was with the Colts when Taylor was out.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? Like, they've always had these good running backs. Singletary, like they had badass running backs. They never fucking used them. And Josh Allen's just running and running and running. And,
They
I
used
think
James Cook pretty well this year. I
yeah,
thought.
they started to when they fired their OC. And
Yeah, this was the
I
first
had him in one of my
season.
fantasy leagues as a flex, and I definitely felt the pain of the couple weeks I started him and was like, fuck. Like thinking he would do something. And then when they finally fired their OC, he blew up. I mean, the game against Dallas, he went rip shit. But
Yeah.
they also started throwing him the ball. They started doing a lot with him.
Yeah, they this was the season they kind of changed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do next year, but
We'll
they're not
see.
Baltimore, so fuck them.
I feel like the Bills are my pick to win the Super Bowl right up until I remember how much Josh Allen turns the ball over, and then I can't pick them to win the Super Bowl.
Their defense has struggled this year too. They started putting it back on late in the season, but I know mid-season their defense was a problem. Like they had
a weird season.
Yeah, they're mid-season, but you know what? They're hot at the right time. It's the same thing with Houston, man. Houston is like lightning hot right now. So, but I think they're gonna get cooled off really fucking fast on Saturday. But again, I could be wrong. When this airs in a week, I might look like the biggest asshole in the world. But
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Fucking, I think it was like last week or something. I said to Ron, like, CJ Stroud for the fucking Texans, since you mentioned the Texans, he has like his throwing motion is like the closest thing to Dan Marino that I have seen in the NFL, like, period, since I was a kid. Like, he gets that shit up and out like quick as fuck. Dude's got a future in this fucking league.
Yeah,
he is the best quarterback to come out of the draft, and
Like,
it should
holy
not
fuck.
even it's not close.
Dude is good.
Yeah, he's nasty. He's definitely gonna always be in the top 5 discussion going forward, because there's a lot of mediocrity in quarterback play right now.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? Like, I don't think the Chiefs are fucking good right now. I think that they have a problem. They're finding ways to win because they're I mean, let's be real. Andy Reid has been a great coach for a long time in the NFL, but
I know what they lost. I know exactly what they lost. They lost their discipline, which was Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy didn't do anything else well except discipline their players. They lost their discipline.
They lost their hands too.
Yep, and they
lost. And the other thing that's happened, and this is, you'll disagree, and this is some stupid shit. This is, I tell my Swiftie wife this all the time.
Travis Kelce's girlfriend.
Yeah. So my wife and my daughter are like big Taylor Swift people.
Mm.
If you notice, every single time Travis Kelce doesn't catch the ball, he puts his hands up for a flag. Every single time. And the thing is, and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, but he's super popular though. So
So Pat Mahomes does the same thing. Every time one of his receivers just flat out doesn't catch the ball,
I'm with you.
waves his hands and gets shitty because they're not getting a flag. What's different this year, in my opinion, is they got those last year. They got them the year before. He became the new darling. He was the guy that the NFL was going to protect. It was Tom Brady forever, whatever. He's been the guy.
Yeah.
I think that changed because Taylor Swift is at their games. It put so many fucking eyes onto their like non-football fans and other football fans whose wife is suddenly like, oh, let's watch the Jets game tonight. That no one gave a fuck about the Chiefs Jets game, except for the fact that she was there. And now it's the highest rated game of the year. I really believe the NFL told referees, like, do not fuck around. Be on your P's and Q's. There's a lot of extra eyes in this shit. And that's why I think now they suddenly, because of her presence, they're not getting the calls anymore. And I really think there's something to that. I heard somebody talking about it on a radio show, but I really, really believe there's something to that because
it makes sense.
because now you see they're not getting the calls, and there's calls being made against them that were not happening before.
Yeah, that offsides.
Yeah.
The classic. Yeah.
Oh,
They
what
would
a fucking baby
I
he
know.
was over
I
that
know.
too. Like the dude was a mile away. Like
Insanely offsides.
he
Like
co-
it
it
was
wasn't like his-
comical. It was like
I could see him like being upset if like the dude's toe was at the nose of the football. He
I don't know
was
what he was
completely
thinking.
in front of the football. Like the dude might as well been lined up with the safeties. Like it made no sense. And then but even he's such a fucking asshole that even when he was like hugging Josh Allen at the end of the game, he was like, "That's the worst fucking call I ever seen in my life." Josh Allen doesn't give a fuck about that call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just shut up, man. Like, just roll up there and be like, "Good game, man. You know, good game."
Yeah, totally.
Balls aside, good game, dude. You fucking, we got rocked. We lost. But they're not capable of doing that. I hate Pat Mahomes, man. He's one of my least favorite players in the NFL.
I think it's hilarious that he sounds exactly like Kenny Powers.
He does.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah.
They just like play the sentence into another sentence, and like if you close
But he
your
sounds
eyes,
like Kermit the Frog, though.
you can't tell.
Totally.
You
Yeah,
got to hear Travis and Jason Kelsey both do really good impressions of his voice.
I've heard it. I've listened to their podcast once or twice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. But I think it's Ravens. And you're saying Bills, and you think Bills and Lions?
I think Ravens Lions.
I'm Bills and Niners, but that's what I called preseason. So
I think
sticking with
I'm
it.
going. My pick is Ravens Niners.
All right, Chad. Thanks so much, dude.
Yeah,
thanks,
it's been a
dude.
pleasure as always, guys.
Yeah,
I look
man.
forward
Yeah.
to talking to you all the time. So
Go Ravens.
yeah, Ravens, baby.
Yeah,
All right.
super looking forward to the fucking
Yeah,
hearing that new EP too, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. It's
Hell yeah.
you guys will hear it before everybody else. I'm gonna send you a
Awesome.
message as soon as we're off with this.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah,
Awesome.
dude. Thank you.
All right. Cool,
All right,
man.
later, man.
Later,
All right,
brother.
peace.
How do I do this shit? I can still hear you. So what do I have to press? Close.